Hello friends, it's Cassandra. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are talking about waiting for your spouse. This is something I'm not an expert in. I'm only 24. There are people who have been waiting much longer than me, but I'm gonna share my experience and particularly what I have done in the waiting so that I'm not just waiting and feel like I have nothing to do with myself going crazy. The first thing is that I have been intentionally thinking about my spouse and my husband and waiting for him to show up in my life since I was 13. I don't know if that's young or old or normal to start thinking about your future spouse and wanting to know who they are and meet them and be with them and live life with them. But for me, it was 13 years old. So I've been waiting a little over 10 years. And I have struggled in the wait. If you know anything about my dating story, I didn't date till I was 21 because I just was not in a good place to be dating in high school. My mental health was kind of all over the place, and I also didn't want to waste my time dating people that I knew I wasn't going to marry. I did not want to date just to date. As much as I craved a relationship and as much as I wanted to be with someone, I want a husband more than I want a boyfriend. And I think that set me apart from a lot of my peers, because I feel like a lot of high schoolers are like, yeah, I want a boyfriend. Yeah, I want a girlfriend. And they're not as focused on no, I want a spouse. And I was looking for a husband, not a boyfriend. And so I didn't date till I was 21. I saw myself marrying the guy that I dated, and that was part of why I entered into a relationship with him, and I was convinced he was going to be the one. I was so sure, so certain. We started planning our wedding together, and then he broke up with me. And so that caused, obviously, a lot of heartache. I wrote a book about it. It's called My Love Letters Don't Sound the Same Anymore. You can check it out on Amazon if you're interested in that little memoir, if you will. Ever since then, I have been struggling more so with dating to find a husband versus dating just to date. I started going on dating apps, which I have a video about that you are welcome to check out. And I found this last winter when I was on the dating apps. I go on and off them all the time. I think I'm off them for good now, but we'll see. I'm making no promises. When I was on them this last winter, I was definitely on them because I was just wanting to be in a relationship and not because I was wanting to find my husband. I mean, I wanted to find my husband still, but it wasn't, this is to find my husband. It was, this is to find a relationship. And if I find my husband, great. And I'm really glad that none of those dates I went on over the winter worked out, because truly I believe I would have been in them just to be in them and not because I saw potential for a future together there. Glad they didn't work out. Thank you, God, for having my back and my best interests at heart. So yeah, I've been waiting. I'm still waiting, and this is what I have done in the waiting. So these are gonna range from very normal to a little out there, a little bit out there, a little crazy maybe. But I'm gonna share 3 things that I've done in the waiting. So the first one is pretty simple, maybe obvious, prayer. Praying for your future spouse. So I pray for my husband, just that he would be really close to the Lord, that he would walk in God's will for his life, that he would be a leader in faith, that he would be able to lead us closer to God when we are in a relationship together and in our marriage, that he would be the leader in our faith life. I also pray just that he would be a man full of integrity. Integrity is so important to me, that you are the same person when you are alone, when you are with your friends, when you are with your parents, when you are in church. You are the same person throughout all of those places. That he would be a man of integrity, a man of his word, that he would be honest and loving and patient and gentle, that he would exhibit the fruit of the Spirit in his life. I personally have some trauma I have had to work through and am working through, and so patience and gentleness is so important to me. And as I pray for those things in light of that, I'm also praying for myself, that I would find healing, that I would find peace and comfort in God, and that I would not be a mess he has to take care of and clean up when we're in relationship together, that we can just enjoy each other's presence and acknowledge, like, I have these traumatic events in the past, and move forward in light of that and not have to deal with the mess through that. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm praying that I would be a person that is beneficial to his walk with Christ, as well as praying that he would be beneficial to my walk with Christ. So it's a both praying for that person to be the person you want, but also praying that you are the person that the person you want wants. It's not a one-way street. You gotta examine yourself as well. And so maybe I'm sharing 4 things. Pray for your husband, but also pray for yourself to grow and to just be strengthened in the faith and in good character and in the fruit of the Spirit, to be a person worth marrying. Along with praying for your spouse, pray for your marriage. And this is something I've not been as active and intentional in doing, but I want to start being more intentional about, is praying for my marriage, and that we have a strong marriage, and that we work things out well together, that when we do argue, we're able to reconcile quickly, and, things aren't creating a rift between us, that we draw closer to one another through the difficulty and not farther apart. Just that we would be good parents to our children. Like, that's not something I've ever prayed about before, and I think I probably should start thinking about, like, my future family and the legacy I'm gonna have in that sense. Yeah, just praying over your marriage as well as for your individual spouse, I think, is really important. All right, the next thing is journaling letters to your future spouse. So I have actually 2 journals. I started this one when I was 13, and I filled it up. So I had to get another one, and I'm working on that one. So I hope my husband is a reader, because I've got lots for him to read. And I look back on some of the things I wrote. They're not all, like, well thought out letters to him. Some of them are just me venting about how frustrated I am with high school and my life and all of that. But I think in a way that is endearing and is like, I wish you could have experienced this part of life with me, but here's the best I can give you. And letting them kind of live alongside you in that sense. I don't know. I that's the spin I try to put on it, to not be embarrassed about some of the things I wrote about in my first volume of Letters to My Future Husband. But with this second volume, I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional about what I write and why I write in there. I don't know that it's working, but I'm trying. And so the heart behind this is that you can share moments with them, share memories with them, even though they're not physically there with you. It's a way to talk to them when you can't talk to them, which is kind of sad to say. But I feel like a lot of people resonate with that and they just want to be able to talk to them. So write them a letter and they'll read it in the future, and maybe you'll laugh about it together. Maybe you'll just be like, that was a really nice, thoughtful letter. And, you never know. That's a little bit more of a common thing. Not as many people do it as I thought did it. Like, I thought, my generation, this was a thing. Like, I thought there was going to be a whole slew of, especially girls, with journals of letters to their husband. And it turns out that's not the case. It's not as common as I thought. So I don't know where that thought came from. But journals to your husband, I would recommend. All right, my third thing I talk about in my video about prayer, which it either was recently posted or is coming very soon. I'm not sure what order I'm posting all of these videos. I filmed 3 in the same day. So the third one is a little more unhinged, a little more out there. It's not for everyone, for sure, but it's for me. So I recently bought a wedding ring for my husband. I bought my husband's wedding ring, and I'm really excited about it. It hasn't arrived yet. I bought it off Etsy, and so it has to be shipped to me. It hasn't shown up yet, but it's only been 3 days. so that I have to wait another week still, but that's fine. The reason I did this, everyone I've told has been like, oh, why? The reason I did this is because I was listening to a podcast on Sadie Robertson's Whoa, That's Good podcast, and she had a guest on, Mia Fields, I think is her name. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But she talked about the importance of doing something physical that you're doing in the spiritual. And so for me, I was like, I want to be really intentional in the next however long. I don't know. It could be a month or 2. It could be years. It could be decades. I don't know. But I am pretty certain that I'm going to be getting married at some point in my life. And so from now until whenever that happens, I want to be really intentional about praying for my husband and praying for our marriage. And the way I want to do that is to buy his wedding ring and to pray over the wedding ring for him and for our marriage. And I think it's really special. I think it's really beautiful. The man who marries me is going to think so too. So if you're like, that's really weird and creepy, I'm not the girl for you. And that's okay. I have just always thought it would be really cool if he did that for me. Like if he had bought a wedding ring before he even knew me, and if he was praying for us and for me. So I said to myself, why don't I do that for him? Like if he's the kind of guy that would be willing to do that for me, he'd probably be the kind of guy that would appreciate me doing that for him. So that's what I did, and I'm really excited about it. I have felt like peace in my prayer life around this topic since I bought the ring. I just right now feel very at peace in my singleness, and very much like I do not want to enter a relationship unless it is the one, like the final guy, And I don't know it's different from when I was in high school. Like when I was in high school, I was like, I don't want to date because I don't want to date unless he's my husband, and I'm not in a good spot to be dating right now anyway. But I wasn't at peace with my singleness. And right now, I'm at peace with my singleness. And I don't know how that happened really, other than I prayed that it would happen. I was talking to my pastor about my singleness and waiting, and he waited till he was 30 to get married. Not of his own choice. It was God's will that he waited till he was 30 to get married. But because of that, he has been able to minister to me in a way that other people have not. Just in what it's like to wait and to try to strive for contentment in your singleness, because he found contentment in his singleness. And I think, like, I've always been like, yeah, I'm content in my singleness, but I'm not like fully content in my singleness. And I feel like right now I might actually be fully content in my singleness. Is the desire to be married still there? Absolutely. Absolutely. I just bought a wedding ring. Like, yes, that desire is still there. But my pastor talked about how contentment comes within and in the midst of desire for something. If you didn't desire to be married, obviously you're content not being married because you don't even want it. That's not contentment. That's just not wanting it and being fine not having it. Contentment comes from wanting something, not having it, and saying it's still okay though. And so I feel like I finally am able to say, yeah, I'm content being single. And I have no tips other than pray for contentment, strive for contentment. Do not settle in order to be married. Like, that's not going to give you contentment. Doing things for your spouse as a reminder to yourself, like, this is what I'm waiting for. This is the kind of person I'm waiting for. This is why I'm waiting, is really helpful in the midst of that struggle. And pray. Just pray for your spouse, for your marriage, for your contentment in your singleness. I hope that this video was encouraging, gave you some fun ideas to pass the time. I don't know what I hope you got out of this video, but I feel like you know what you needed to get out of this video. So I hope you got it. I hope you find contentment in your singleness, and just pray for it. That's all I gotta say. Just pray for it. So this video has gone, it's 20 minutes. That's way longer than I wanted this video to be. So hopefully I can cut it down way shorter. I love to ramble. So my apologies for that. I'll see you sometime soon. And just in the meantime, remember you are loved. Bye.